Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, once we start this program, you have the power, the authority, the medium, the via to pick up the telephone and give us a call. The number to call is 442017. And we're on RealFM 91.9, 91.5. We're on We Noise FM in Brooklyn, New York, 94.9. We're on YouTube and Facebook. And you too could help spread the word. You can like our program, subscribe to our program, and share our program. Even if you don't like what we say so much, because we provoke discussion and because we encourage you to challenge us and we dare you, share the program. Sometimes your friends may not like it too, and they may challenge you. When we speak, we want the truth to come out. We're not speaking from a script. So there are chances that we may say things that is not absolutely true. And we want you to correct us immediately or after. It's a very interesting thing. Sometimes we have to pay attention to what's going on in the world. We have a war going on in Ukraine and Russia. Russia is mashing up Ukraine. Ukraine is fighting back. It's not easy for Russia to conquer Ukraine, but they're mashing it up. You have a war going on between Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah and Yemen and Iran. And Yemen fires supersonic missile against Israel. And Israel is ponging Yemen. You have the Russian ship, one of the Russian battleship in Cuban waters. And the American submarine and nuclear submarine in Cuban waters. We have Caribbean leaders silent. You're not hearing a word from them. The Caribbean leaders should be objecting loud and clear to prevent nuclear machinery in the Caribbean waters. Now look at the hypocrisy of our leaders. They like to speak about the environment. The biggest threat to our survival is war. Because these governments have nuclear weapons. Donald Trump described the issue between Russia and America. He says two big tanks moving towards each other. Bang! The world has enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world 2.5 times. So our biggest threat to the environment is nuclear weapon, not the environment. This thing about the environment is a hoax. It's a hoax. Small islands using the opportunity to get money, nothing's wrong with that. Absolutely nothing is wrong if small islands champion the environment to get some money for development. But the environment issue is a hoax. And even when these small islands get money, you don't know what they're doing with it. Our biggest threat to small islands is nuclear weapon. Barbados, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, all of them should be crying out loud. They don't have no army. The most they could do is to lobby loud those countries like Russia and China to leave the Caribbean area free from nuclear weapons. Nobody in the Caribbean and Latin America have nuclear weapons. So that should be the voices in the Caribbean. We have some journalists in Grenada and the Caribbean that playing down. You don't hear a word from them. The United States, one of the big nuclear submarines, is in Cuba. The Russians have a big warship in Cuba. Both of these powerful imperial power is flexing the muscle. But when two elephants fight, it's the ground that is mashed up. So what the Caribbean leaders could do is to lobby the international community to condemn the United States of America and Russia for flexing their muscle with nuclear weapons in the Caribbean, and to admonish Cuba to avoid these imperial powers bringing nuclear weapons on their soil. That is what needs to be done. And then you hear the Caribbean leaders, they're glad to condemn Israel. And you have to understand, Marxists, Leninists, communists and atheists, they don't like Israel, they don't like Christians. Muhammad, in the Quran, it is written in the Quran that agreements, and I'm not using exact words now, agreements between Jews and Christians are disallowed. So based upon the Quran, whatever agreement you make with Jews for peace don't make no sense. Caribbean leaders are not condemning that, because most of them are students and children of Marxist Leninism. Some of them are atheists. They believe not because they're going to church. They're only going to church for political expedience. So look at it in Grenada here. All our communists in Grenada, the majority of them, in America, in England, in Frankfurt, they're not going to Russia. They're not going to Cuba. They go to the imperial world, but they're condemning the imperial world. That is a height of hypocrisy that we have. And you have to be careful like a people. Because the Marxist Leninists, the communists, and the atheists, they're waiting for an opportunity. They don't believe in democracy. Don't mind they calling for democracy. They don't believe in it. They want to ride on the backs of the proletariats so they could get in power and then deny the proletariats their freedom. You see in Grenada, somebody spokespeople for Deacon, they want to close down radio station. They want to lock up radio personalities, hang them in the street. That's supposed to be of concern to you. The government has not condemned these. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, and hope you enjoy your holiday.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah. Well, you have a guy, when I'm saying if they all just call and all this concern about the economy, and he's not paying attention to this thing, because the government not growing the economy. You could see that from the reflection of the ground. And I don't know how much people know that the government not paying the debt to the international community. A lot of people, they go in the daily living, they don't pay attention to that. Government not paying it, and by not paying the debt, they still struggling to pay salary here. So the guy always call, and I think he's from Sunday, if always concern about the economy. The man is on track, but see, maybe afterwards, people, when we fall, die when people go pay attention to what the man is saying. Because long time say you're concerned about the party and all the concern about the economy. And the economy in Greenland not growing. Because if you check the business, the man who represents the business company, the Rahman, he described the budget for 2024 as a spending budget. So you check, so the expenditure alone, so no recurrent. You understand? You look at it, no money to come in to say we got the $2 little that come in, to the tourism dollar, what all this money going towards payment. Because if you say one consulate, I think consulate in Dubai working for $46,000 a month. What? The parent will calculate that if you give 46 people in Grenada a month, they could get $1,000 and they will live well. For the government just wasting this money, and it's time will come along now, then they go realize by what We need that money because when they have to start to pay back the international community, what will stay back? How much we going to stay back? Because they don't pay it now. It's suspended it and it's struggling to pay their salary. So the guy who called for send me a share his cars. So take him up here.
Yes, scholar, and you're correct. And more people have to put emphasis on that. The government is squandering the opportunities that they got. When they came into power, they had over $500 million in the treasury. We determined as the treasury pregnant. The government claimed they sold $1 billion in passports. They got $100 million from Saudi Arabia. All these things was there before. They got it on a silver platter. The government is squandering opportunities. They raised the Procurement Act from 15,000 to 100,000. So they have a free rein in providing their friends and close political allies with opportunities for contract. You hear in those messages, the government is receiving gifts from multinational companies. Anytime you see a politician, no businessman give you money for nothing. If a businessman give you assistant, he want the name call. He want the public to know that he's assisting you. This is why regulation was put in place to avoid politicians from getting gifts from individuals and multinational corporations. This is why the Integrity Commission was set up to monitor politicians, because man is weak. So they would avoid accepting gifts. We heard rumors that government ministers, including the Prime Minister, received gifts of over $30,000. We are hearing now concession is provided for big businessmen. That is the kickback. We are hearing about the massive corruption in national lottery. We look at the manner in which the government flaunted the law, the regulation of 1973, to raid the GDP Bank. But the government is not growing the economy. The government lambasts the Kit Mitchell government for providing jobs in security and in schools and the debushing work by the road. Now I ask the question, what new jobs this government have provided? Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar, welcome.
How you doing, my brother?
Great, man. Good.
Mr. Pierre, we have a government where she get an award from the rest of the Caribbean country for embarrassment. We have a leader first time in the Caribbean take a position in the government, which is Minister of Defense. And here goes the man asking what the rising crime have to do with him. We have a leader for the first time in the Caribbean who jet picking him up from his country and dropping him in parties in the next country where you could see we hugging up with men. We have a leader first time in the Caribbean. When he traveling, he luggage heavy. He forgot to take out the wig and the makeup in the luggage. We have a leader first time in the Caribbean. Here, maybe the third or the second one, who signed a gay bill. Embarrass the citizen of this country. And not only that, we have a leader who spend more time flying than the jet spend time filling up with fluid. It's an embarrassment. Mr. Pierre, I think next time you will have to you got to put your heart out there and see how you could help to rescue this country. Anyway, thank you, my brother.
Yes, and I have to agree with you to some extent. The government went into Nigeria without informing Foreign Affairs in Grenada. If the government informed Foreign Affairs would have informed Foreign Affairs in Nigeria. There is a set of protocol with leaders traveling. So the governor of Lagos State said, and that was a very diplomatic embarrassment and snub, you came into the country secretly. You've been moving around for the last 2 days with a rich businessman. But now you do the right thing. The prime minister sneaking in another country. This is unacceptable behavior. The prime minister is leaving the country, and in a lot of instances there is no deputy. The prime minister is leaving the country, and the government official information is not provided with information. This is the government we have. This government is encouraging young people to use obscenities and objectionable language. This government is associated more than any other government in history with accepting expensive gifts from multinational corporations. Kickbacks. Several of the ministers of the hierarchy of the NDC government is selling passport on the international market. These things cannot be right. These things are blatantly wrong. This government is associated with more lies than all other government post 1967. So, caller, yes, I agree with you. Other Caribbean government must be really disappointed. You could say what you want about our past leaders, but I don't think you could accuse them for some of the outrageous, objectionable actions as this present regime. So it's unfortunate. And we have to be concerned about that. Because while that is going on, the economy is not, we see no evidence that the economy would change in the not too distant future before election. We're practically 2.5 years in the government. And by now you ought to see some signs. The government have no plans for youth. They blast the Imani program and they have nothing better to offer. The government criticized the best program that has been instituted in Grenada in the last 100 years to give people a second chance, to help to make people more competitive on the job market. Being cognizant of the fact that when you have high unemployment, you're likely to have more social decadence. This government told lies to every sector of the population. The unions now must be practically dumbfounded. I don't envy the unions. It's very difficult for them. The government has told them outrageous lies. One person described Deaton as a master deceiver, and I have to agree with them. He deceived the unions badly. I always was wary of him. Always, from day one, I was wary of him. But I never even thought he could be that bad. We are in some problems. We have to hope. We cannot say we are going to wait till election is called. We have to hope that Dick can change some of his ways. The lies he told us is baffling. From the fact that he claimed he is going to get Greenleg Chuck to pick mango and sapodilla and coconut after 4 in the evening. This thing is not even comedy. This thing past comedy. Not even mad people will say this outrageous thing. So we're in a bad position. But I don't envy the unions at this time. And not only the unions. Because if you are squandering your money, the International Monetary Fund and financial institutions are looking at you. When you go back to them, the terms in which you will get assistance may be more difficult. And I want to challenge our union and business sector and even people who are benefiting significantly from the government. In the future, the tax threshold may have to be dropped significantly. The tax threshold. Right now it is at $3,000. And don't surprise, the first drop it comes down to $1,200. So you will not be in a better position. From day one, this government attacked the people in the lowest income bracket. It must be sad. Because normally, government have some bitter sensitivity for the poor of the poor. Remember, the government raised the price of sugar, raised the price of water, and raised the price of electricity. Once you raise the price of these commodities, these services, automatically the cost of living will go up. Look at how the government decree marketing board and put it in limbo. And the government continue to tell lies. And it must be concerned because you don't understand why they are doing what they are doing. Difficult. It's not that they are not highly certificated, but why they continue to behave so. And they must know that would not help the economy. Because as it is, although they have money, in what area they have invested in capital project? In what area they invest in things that could make more? It's like a man win a lotto and he come home to his family. He didn't fix the house. He did not improve. He didn't buy land. He did not even buy warm medicine for the animals there. He's fetting. He's fet after fet after fet after fet. Well, the money is going to done. And his family would be in a worse position. Sometimes I say to individuals, it's not how much money that comes into your pocket. It's what you do with the money that comes in your pocket. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre,
Yes, my brother.
and a pleasant afternoon to your
Thank you.
listening audience. Now, Mr. Pierre, as I listen to you point out, the shortcomings of the present administration, but one of the things you said that surprised me was the fact that you said you didn't believe he was that bad. You're referring to the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But the amount of names you would have called this gentleman before, I'm trying to figure out, how come that, kind of push you over the edge so much. That's one. Now, like I said, I am prepared to work with all the other shortcomings, like what you have pointed out there, of the present administration. That's okay. There is a lot of other things you could promise, and you can't deliver based on circumstances. I understand that. But there are two, Mr. Pierre, that for me is kind of unforgivable at this time. One was to make all these workers and them permanent. You know what I mean? Who would not have buy into that? I mean, I was NNP at the time, but I did buy into it. There was certain NNP Imani. When we sit down and we have an honest conversation, they tell me exactly the honest truth. You know what I mean? That this present the former administration, they're not promising that. And that is what they're looking for, some form of security where they could go to the bank, and get a little cash, to upgrade the condition. So, and I understand, of course, who wouldn't understand that? Knowing fully well, Mr. Pierre, knowing fully well that that was not possible. But when they say, as soon as possible, with the stroke of a pen, within the first year, you know what I mean? Come on, man. I mean, even to my NDC brothers who are listening right now, you would say, well, this man really have a point. This issue about this new pension thing was never part of the plan, It was never part of the plan. The other one is the cost of living. My God, we all know that we don't control these things to a very large extent. We cannot promise that. We cannot give promises that, this, with an expectation that these things will go down. When deep down inside we know we have no control over it. This is the unfortunate thing. I am really willing to give them up so many other parties. But this too, Mr. Pierre, generally speaking, that, a large part of the electorate buy into, only to realize today is a whole different story. It's unfortunate. Have a pleasant day, sir.
Yes, scholar. I know you could not have make everybody permanent. I wasn't buying this one at all. I've been in the public service. I saw the structural adjustment program over the years. I call on the union then and find out who was the union person advising him. I disagreed with the union then. I thought the union should have questioned him publicly on that. They remained silent on that issue, but I know he couldn't buy into that. I was extremely disappointed with the Prime Minister classism, the pushing of classism in the country. I take strong objection to that. Considering people as classless people and commoners and beggy and good people. And you could see there was some level of discussion when they sit down. That is why some of the members were saying this thing. You heard the Minister of Agriculture talking about lunatic and idiots. So it appears when they sat down in discussion, they gave the impression that they are in a super class. Yes, scholar, welcome. You radio in the back.
Recently I saw you had a big forum on the issue of the Sagasum seaweed. And then as it came in, it went out, and I'm not hearing anything again. How about it? Is it that Santa's supposed to be having something to do with that? The Sagasum seaweed? I don't know if you might be able to help me.
No, can't help with that. I know they can't do nothing. All these things I think is if Sanders involved, it might be a tourism stunt. These hotels don't get
No, I say
involved
Santa,
in anything.
Santa. Santa.
Okay. Oh, Santa. No, I think the Prime Minister, I don't understand why the Prime Minister is doing these things. And people like Persuader and others have to tell him no. He's embarrassing the agriculture people in Grenada badly when they travel. The Caribbean counterpart will kick on them.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you
know.
have international people, it seemed, that was surrounding in that forum there, that they were ready to spend monies to develop it.
Maybe in the next 20, 30 years. Discussion potential.
This one, at least I've heard about, things that he said in the past and so forth, and we know things that he said in the past, and we wonder, well, how come he could still be doing that to us and we falling for it?
Yeah.
Things like that.
And you see, they know there is a
How
lot
could
of
we still
money
fall
to
for
get.
it?
They know there is some money to get in the environment. So those people in the environment is a bunch of hypocrite and fake. So they must be using all kind of thing with that to see if they could attract some money from the environment.
Give me some more money, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, from the environment to come up with these sort of projects they know they could never get off the ground. But by the time they have a couple conference, a few $1 million over.
True.
It's amazing how we forget. There is a book, How the Other Half Dies. And a lot of politicians and other people want to speak, must discuss this issue. We must not afraid to hold discussion. And that's the challenge.
But why is it that the ministers themselves, are they afraid of the gun?
Well, most of the ministers don't have much sense out of the area. If you look at the group of ministers, they afraid discussion in their own community. Most of them might have been in their area, but they don't have general sense. A man is a mason.
Okay.
But he can lay a pipe.
Let me stop you a while. I believe that the amount of monies that he paid for them, or paid them for them, in other words, when he was buying them, they have to keep their job, or keep the monies that he paid them. So they have to keep quiet. How about that?
Well, that is a point, but knowing some of them, when you close to them, they're not that good in general topics. They may speak something in their particular area. You see, they was never involved in, and that's why it's so important to have these people involved in groups, in organization, canvassing on issues. So they end up in politics and they're like a square peg, in a triangular hole or something like that. They're really out of it. And the NDC don't seem to be having any counsel, any discussion with senior NDC members. They may not talk to an NP, but there are number of senior NDC members that ought to know better. But they don't seem to have discussion because you see what happened to the NDC there, and I warned them, the Prince of Hate, the most fractious motivational speaker, has been advising them for too long.
Speaker.
Yeah. So they come now and they're arrogant, they're full of hate, and they insult some of the old NDC that could counsel them. So they're in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't think they could recover. We just have to talk so that they wouldn't bring this country into as the Minister of Legal Affairs said, irreparable damage.
He did say it.
Yeah.
He did say it.
Irreparable damage. Yeah.
The gentleman called before speak about building the economy. And I'm not hearing anything about building the economy. I spoke to somebody recently, and the amount of development that was done by this government, and the querying, they could give me at least 10. I said, no, don't give me 10. Give me 5.
Yeah, can give 5.
So I went and I said, they paid the pension, and what is the other one? Oh, then I stopped. And I saw a program when you introduce some of the projects that you did with the citizen by investment, and one of those projects you showed me was that of the six senses in Sir David. This is what you showed me from the help me there, the investment by
CBI, yeah, passport sale.
Yes, right, and the one in Libera also.
Yeah,
that's the two I could have named. So I asked the person, can you give me some more?
No, they
because
can't.
I'm not seeing anything more besides those two.
Yeah, they can't.
That the CBI did. And the person put
they can't make it.
I can't give any more.
And it's sad. And sometimes I'm sorry. I'm sorry for a lot of NDC politicos. Because those guys used to have healthy discussion. Now they're attacking you personally. You know, you just make a comment on social media, they go after your mother, your grandmother, everybody. Because they know that they're dealing with a fake. Deacon is one of the worst fake that pass in this country. Yeah.
I don't think they cannot identify, but they are afraid too, because again, they've been paid. Deacon from day one, he said he could buy them.
Well, it's so insulting.
And you better stick to that. He could buy them. Right? And they're not afraid because they're getting a salary. They're collecting a monthly salary, bi-monthly salary, so to speak. They can't say anything. And that's the whole thing. For me, I'm not collecting a salary. For you, you're not collecting a salary from them, but you're living, and other people are living.
It's sad. It's unfortunate.
Those that are collecting their salaries, they can't say anything because they have been paid.
Yeah. Yes, scholar. It's going to come to affect us. And I constantly, when I speak, I challenge, I provoke discussion. I dare you. You know, and if you have information, I'll humbly say, change my opinion. Because we need to discuss these issues. We have to believe, as a people, we could address the challenge that we have. This pension issue is a sad, sad story. 40 years ago, we could have forgiven Maurice Bishop. They're pushing ideology. But the NIS issue was an issue in the Caribbean. Even the church was involved in it. The Catholic Church, liberation theology, a number of views coming. So it was not an original idea, concept of Maurice Bishop. And we could have forgiven them for the mistakes that they make. But 40 years passed. We have a lot of intelligent people now. We have a number of lawyers on both sides of the pendulum that could sit down and discuss this issue and come up with the best approach. So what Deacon doing there is a bunch of hogwash. It's sad, it's unfortunate. You have a number of lawyers that they experience this thing. They was in the public service. They was in the trade union. They fought this thing. We come to the conclusion that the government say, and we're not challenging it in the court. Perhaps the government could have challenged it in the court 5-6 years and win or lose. They say all of us is Grenadian. Let us solve that problem. I have not heard no legal maestro reference other Caribbean countries. Because it's the same British system that was there. So I've not heard none of them reference other Caribbean countries. So now is not the time for high-handed action. Now is the time for the Prime Minister to sit down and say, let's discuss this thing. Yes, we lie, we say we couldn't do it, but don't compound what is wrong. And I always go back to our malice, because you see a lot of things that took place during the revolution could have been avoided. It could have been avoided. But a number of people who could speak did not speak. I always chastise Mr. Blaze. Maurice Bishop was very careful with Karakou. He did not want Karakou to turn against him. But if Maurice Bishop had arrested Mr. Blaze, it might be a whole different scenario. Mr. Blaze stayed quiet. Ben Jones stayed quiet too. Because if he had arrested Ben Jones, it would have pressured Mr. Blaze to speak. Mr. Blaze never speak. He threatened the lawyer in Grenville, and the lawyer stayed quiet. If he had arrested the lawyer, he would have forced Mr. Ben Jones' hand and Mr. Blaze's hand to say something. They didn't speak. What happened? The worst crimes in Grenada after slavery and colonialism. So the individuals who are shutting them out now, you're not helping the case. You have to counsel. Deacon is an ignoramus. He don't know. But he pretending he know. He don't know. He was a corporate lawyer. He's not a constitutional lawyer. He was not a criminal lawyer. He was not involved in it. It's not about ideology. Deacon is no socialist. But they claim that Deacon grew up with people related to Maurice Bishop. So he wants a ride. He wants cheap popularity. Obviously, Maurice Bishop impacted the lives of a lot of people. Maurice Bishop, a number of people would see Maurice Bishop as a star because of his anti-imperialism and his charismatic and oratory skills in articulating against anti-imperialism. So Deacon wants a cheap ride. He's a fake. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
Good morning.
Yes, my brother.
Do you realize that Mr. Sir Danny Williams was a corporate lawyer?
I don't know.
Pierre.
I wouldn't say that conclusively. Danny Williams was involved in a number of things.
I'm telling you conclusively, he was a corporate lawyer.
Okay. He never vied for leadership or any. Yeah.
Was he a bad person?
No, I don't think Danny was bad. He just as us.
So then corporate lawyers are not bad people then?
No. I didn't say corporate lawyers are bad. I'm saying it's the first time in the Caribbean we had a successful corporate lawyer who leave his practice and come and go in to run a political party. First time in the Caribbean. And he sold himself as a man with deep pockets and contact. That was the opening salvo.
It's not about corporate.
Well,
it's not about corporate lawyers then.
When I was asked about my opinion about Deacon, I said I had to reserve an opinion, I had to watch him a while still. But I'm concerned that he is the first time in the Caribbean a so-called successful corporate lawyer leave and come in politics and sold himself as having deep pockets and contacts, not concerned for the proletariat, not concerned for the environment. No other politician I know of in the Caribbean ever sold himself as flaunting money and contacts. And I thought that was a dangerous point. That time I didn't say he bad yet. I didn't say he was a fake yet. But after I see his action, I decide we have a fake. And continue. He started to play out. Now I consider him as the worst leader post-67. The one that tells the most lies. He's a poor people terrorist, a vulture, and Dr. Deceiver of our people. He's now come to that conclusion. He was a builder. Yes, scholar? Oh, yes. No, initially, I was just concerned. A corporate lawyer who claimed his successive come. Then Deacon play job. And I just was interested. I always spoke about people playing. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my brother. Good to hear your voice.
Let me say before that I want to wish every single caller to your radio station, in particular, a happy Christmas and a bright and prosperous New Year. And I also wish all the staff members of the station the same, and all Grenadians and the rest of us in the Caribbean, rest of the places, a happy Christmas, a blessed Christmas. Now,
I join with you with that call because I didn't say it before, so I join with you now to register that call.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I listened to Miss Jenny Simon, yesterday, and it seems to be that Miss Jenny Simon have real facts that she is not afraid to put to the public. Real facts. And one of the sitting ministers in the government now, in terms of embezzling funds and playing with government money. And I'm saying, if you have those kind of information, and we have a body called the Integrity in Public Life, somebody with authority should report this matter, because she was not just speaking, she was quoting from documents. And I think they have a right to ask the gentleman some questions. And there must be some authority in Grenada that should be able to ask this gentleman some questions. And I think it is highly important, because she's showing it on the screen with documentation, figures, and whatnot that she has concerning a sitting lawyer, a sitting politician, minister of government, right? And I think these things should be exposed more. You can't have sitting ministers sitting in the government, and those things are registered documentation. Some questions must be asked, and they have bodies. If the inside bodies can do it, is there no way that the government, the opposition party, well, they're not government, the opposition party or other persons could intervene and find out some of these questions?
We could, the ordinary public could continue on that topic, and you could get redress when the election comes.
We will get what? I didn't hear that.
You could get some from a redress when you have an opportunity to vote again.
Well, that is one, but I mean, apart from voting, the factors that the lady have, with documents, she called persons who received government funds.
You have to understand, the government flaunt the law in the bank. The government ignore the cry of a minister in the national lottery. So the government set up their own sham boards. So the Integrity Commission look as a sham board, just as the GDP Bank Board. So you don't expect they're going to just drag their foot. This information is necessary for the public. So when they have a chance to make the X, they take that into consideration. Because it's a sham board. You call in on the board about with you.
Okay, well, I agree, I understand what you say, but it means that us the voters over there have to have some means of motivation, some means of leadership.
Well, what you think, Color, you notice you have a different group of personality on the radio that speaks with authority and dare and challenge people to take them on? You notice that, Color?
No, I don't really notice that.
So you never hear my program, I dare and challenge?
By which one of your program? Present one now?
I said the radio personalities who are doing the shows now on radio and social media, when they make this statement, they're challenging the government to take the money.
Oh, yes.
And the government can take them on. Even hardline NDC running from discussion here. They're only attacking you personally. It means what you're saying seems to have some truth in it.
Well, it have truth because Miss Jenny claiming that she was right back to by the minister.
But what we need to do now is to also express solidarity with Simon Says, because they are using drones to intimidate her. You didn't hear that part yet?
Yeah, I heard that.
So we, the public, must express solidarity. They want to shut up. And one of the methods they're using is to try to intimidate her and frighten her. And she called on the police, and the police is either slow to act or they are restrained. And we, the public, must express solidarity with Jenny Simon.
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Also, Mr. Pierre, I personally didn't hear it, but I understand two lawyers is on the side of the general public or the working class to support them in this new arrangement that government will be having in terms of the increase, not increase, but the pension reform.
Let's watch and see what takes place with that. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Yes, and we've just taken one call again. So if you call now, you're punched. But we speak about Jenny Simon. Yes, caller, welcome.
But Mr. Pierre, it's me, but I'm going to punch. Listen, sir, if Mr. Pierre, if I working for $15,000 a month, I defending the NDC to hell and back. You know, because listen, if I make 2 or 3 years, Mr. Pierre, you know, for working for $15,000 a month, at the end of it, whether NDC win, whether NDC lose, whether in or out, I don't care. What you go tell me, what this person go tell me, financially, I am proper and I'm secure. Look at it from that standpoint too.
Yes, well, we must say that as we come down to the year, I'll be on the program. In the month of January, I'll be off RealFM for about 1 month. I have a new venture that needs my time. So I'll be off the radio for about a month. I will be on Saturday program on Studio Galaxy. And maybe if I get a chance, I'll call on radio and make comment, but I will not be having the regular on-target program when January comes. I'll be back tomorrow and Wednesday, and after Christmas, Wednesday and Thursday as usual. And then when January comes, I'll be off, hoping to come back, God's will, in the month of February. And once again, I want to join with that caller and wish everybody a happy Christmas. It's always a pleasure working with RealFM and the staff and the technical operators, because we can't function without those technical operators. The people you don't see, we can't function without them. Some of us don't even understand the system. You know, the modern day technology have we old people, you know, excited to deal with it, but we're slow to learn. We cannot dance where the technology is concerned. You could look out for some topics when we come back. And one of them is flowers. We're going to speak a lot about flowers in Grenada. Commercial queen production. We believe the time has come for Grenada to take commercial queen production seriously. Crab farming and its benefit. We want to discuss the issue of crab farming and its benefit. We want to talk about the 3 political wolves. We have 3 political wolves in politics, and we must talk about it. But we also want you to research the wolves in that time. The wolves is one of the animals that has highly respected. They don't eat carrion. They take care of the elderly. They take care of the young ones. They tend to be very strong family. And we have 3 political wolves in Grenada, so we want to talk about it. We want to make super cops. We want to come out with suggestions to improve our police force. You know, we always speak highly about the quality of police we have. But we want to make super cops. When people go in the police force, we want to come up with suggestions. We want to provoke discussion that people will be glad to go in the police force. We'll have super cops. We want to make suggestions for low-income houses to be more hurricane-friendly. We have the Janet houses that withstand all hurricane. But the government has been ignoring the structure, the bill, and the format of the Janet houses. And we believe we can build bigger houses, low-income houses, $15,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. That is more hurricane-friendly. We want to speak about language and communication as situational. When you speak, people want to take issue with what you see. When you speak, a 6-year-old child must understand. And language is situational. When you're playing table tennis, you have tennis language. Even in this intellectual world with the computer now, there are language there. Jamaicans speak, nobody can cry them down. Grenadians trying to speak like Jamaican, nobody don't crying them down. Bajans speaking, nobody can crying them down. So we want to have discussion on language and communication is situational. Deacon Mitchell, we believe, should provide reasons, justification, and explanation, or withdraw and make a public apology. So during the year, that will be one of the topics you hear. One of the topics we'll go after again is to reduce the incidence of crime in the Caribbean. We believe that we can reduce the incidence of crime in the Caribbean between 5 to 9 years. And we'll open for suggestions how it should be done. Why our productivity level is unacceptable. We're going to discuss productivity level. And we must say it is unacceptable. We have to increase productivity. People who are retired, retirement don't mean you should go home and dead. It don't mean you should go home and drink rum. It don't mean you should go home and get frustrated. Retirement provides an opportunity for you to be more productive. We also want to speak about the pussification of our young males. And do you believe there is a case for reincarnation? So when we come back in the month of February, we're going to have some discussion on these topics and more. But you too could make suggestions on what topics you want us to discuss. Thank you very much. We're back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1.